So, okay, this is, I don't even know how to start this one out because my son's 4 years old. First of all, my son's 4 years old. His name's Max. He's awesome. I love the dude. He's such a good kid and so smart. He really loves the solar system right now. He's really into the solar system, really into the moon and the earth and the sun. And, we downloaded this app last night that kind of, it's a 3D virtual solar system. So you can slide your finger around, move the planets all around, zoom in on certain planets and look at them and all of their moons and stuff like that. And I'm fascinated by the solar system myself just because, like, what are we doing floating on this ball? We don't think about it enough. I think about it a lot. Maybe I think about it too much because I can kind of drive myself crazy with it. But as we were just talking about Earth and Max, my son said something along the lines of, Dad, what are we sitting on? And I was like, what do you mean, what are we sitting on? And he said, like, what's the earth sitting on? Like, what's underneath the earth? And that was like first of all, profound thing for me to think of, like, wow, he thinks that, like, just like right now in this room, there's something underneath me. Or even when you're on the ground, like on the earth, like, what's underneath that? There's something underneath you. But when you talk about, like, underneath the earth, there's nothing underneath the earth. It's just floating in space. So I was trying to explain it to him that it was just floating in space. There was nothing underneath it. And he couldn't grasp that. It didn't make any sense to him. So I downloaded this app, and this app, it's called, like, I can't think, it's like Sonic Solar System or something like that. It's free. And I showed him that, like, all of the planets are floating in the middle of space, all going around the sun. And he started to get it. He started to understand, like, when he could see it for himself. And he was like, so there's nothing, as we were looking at it, he's like, so there's nothing underneath the earth, it's just floating. And I said, yeah, it's just floating around the sun in this big circle called an orbit. And he goes, Dad, that's impossible. And I was like, does seem impossible, doesn't it? It does seem impossible. How's that possible? Because whenever you see that from a kid's mind and he has, like, this epiphany, they're like what? The earth is not on anything. The earth is just out there floating in space around this giant fireball. Like, what does that even mean? His mind was blown. And over the years, from living on this earth and getting older, and just having a job and just having normal things you worry about or concerned about, things you got to focus on, we all forget how bizarre, how impossible this whole existence we live in is. It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes you need a 4-year-old to give you the imagination to figure something like that out. And man, it got me. That's why I'm making this video right now for. Like, take a moment, pause, and think about the fact that we're on a ball that's spinning at thousands of miles an hour around a giant ball of energy, a ball of fire, which is the sun. And we're just in outer space, like, we're just floating out there. Well, what are we doing? What are we here for? It seems impossible, right? We don't even think about it that often because our brains have a really hard time wrapping our head. It's really hard to wrap your head around what that means because we don't know what it means and we don't know what the purpose is or why we're doing it. I mean, you could speculate all day and people have their theories, but really none of us know for sure. You don't know. I don't know for sure. You don't know. So you could say you do, but you don't. And I just think that that's something. Why would you want to think about that, I guess, might be the question you have. And I think you want to think about that because it puts things that you feel like are important in perspective of not being that important or not being that dire or not being that severe. That might seem like, nihilistic to you or something along those lines, but it's really powerful, it's really positive, and it really helps you to relax. It's a relaxing kind of thing. Like, we're just out here floating. We don't know why. We're floating on this ball, it's floating around the sun. We don't know why. We maybe could speculate how it all happened, but we don't know what the reason is or why it's happening. What's the point? So, man, advice from a 4-year-old. Is it impossible? He said to me, that's impossible. I showed him the solar system, I showed him the sun floating, and he goes, Dad, that's impossible. And I thought, wow, it does seem impossible. But we don't even ever think about it. You don't even put it in your mental space. So put it into your mental space. Think about that. How is that possible? And if that is possible, why are we worrying? What are you worrying about? We don't even know what we're doing. We have no control over any of this. We didn't design the universe. We didn't design the earth. We didn't design the sun. We didn't design the solar system. We didn't design the buildings that we're in, the grass that we walk on, the air that we breathe. We didn't design it. It's just here. It's like grace. It's just here. This heart beating. It's just here. We didn't have to work for it. We didn't do anything for it. It just was, and we were born into it. Now we have a chance to experience it. So experience it. That's the key. That's where I'm going to wrap this thing up. You didn't put any work in to make it happen. It's just happening for you. So experience it and own it and love it. All right, this is a live video, so I gotta awkwardly now go hit the stop button. But thanks for watching, and leave a comment. What do you think about that? 4-year-old wisdom. What do you think? Let me know. All right, see ya.